Hi, again. Trying a little bit more of a recent movie to review this time. So this is one you guys can still go see if you're so inclined. And that is Independence Day Resurgence. Saw it this afternoon. Very much enjoyed it. Before I get into that, though, I think I guess, I don't know, I guess mention what I think of the first one. I like the first one. I acknowledge that it has flaws which have been talked about over and over again. Um, I won't go into them all again here. There are flaws. I know this. I acknowledge that. I still enjoy it. Uh, and I think this one's going to be the same way. There are flaws. I acknowledge them, and they honestly don't detract from the enjoyability of it, at least for me. Um, it is a sequel, obviously, and it feels very much like the kind of sequel that knows it's a sequel, but is also trying to do its own thing. And to that point, I think it succeeds. It's doing. There are similar plot elements to the first one. Um, I won't go too far into the details as far as spoilers go. I try to avoid major spoilers. There might be a few minor ones going in. If you want to avoid spoilers at all, you could probably get out now um, and go see it, then come back and see what I think. Um, but I will talk there. There are maybe a few minor spoilers coming this way, but nothing major. I promise. Kind of diving right into it, we have a lot of the cast from the first movie back. Actually, quite a bit of it, more than you probably think going in. In the trailers, I think the only people you saw were Bill Pullman, Jeff Goldblum, and Brent Spiner. They're all back, very much alive and well. Even Brent Spiner, which kind of surprised me, but the way they brought him back and is was I thought very well done, and at least made sense to a point. That he's after what happened to him in the first movie, that he's kind of how he's kind of been what happened to him after the scene in the first movie where he's in the operating room and is taken over by the alien. Um, he's back. But these you all knew from the trailers. Also reappearing, Judd Hirsch as Jeff Goldblum's dad. He's back. The Vivica Fox. She um, Will Smith's fiance slash wife slash the mother of the boy. Um, she's back, and the general, the guy I was the guy that played the general, the guy with the gruff voice. He shows up. He makes a brief appearance, and it was his appearance was actually, I think, very well done and very well. I think if the actor is the same I'm thinking of, I meant to check before I did this. If the actor is the same I'm thinking of, I think he passed away recently. But for a last appearance, one of his final appearances, probably if not the final appearance. There's not much, but I thought is like for what it was. I thought it was done very well. Um, there's also those are the actors that are back. There are a couple of characters from the first one that do come back as well. Um, to the two children, the Will Smith's stepson, I guess. It was his stepson. The Vivica Fox son from a previous marriage in the movie. That character is back, and the president's daughter, Bill Pullman's daughter from the first movie, is back. Different actresses, different actors between from the two movies. Um, but it is those characters are back as well, and yeah, there's a lot of new characters. As you know, as far as the acting goes, I don't think there was really no performance that felt off. Bill Pullman's character was a little off, but I think that's because, his character is like is kind is there are reasons for his character being a little off in the movie, and it makes sense. It's explained in the movie. That's kind of a pretty big spoiler that I don't really want to get into. So um, I'm gonna leave that one. I'll put a pin in that. Um, let's see what else. The as far as the story goes, there were new elements, but at the same time, they did hit a lot of other plot points. Uh, there was one storyline that I thought it probably could have been cut, and I suspect there might have been more to it in the first act of the movie that was probably deleted with these particular characters, and what I it's a well, this isn't really a big plot detail, but there's a group of children, kind of like in the first movie, how Randy Quaid is running around with his family for the first two acts. There's a group of kids that kind of show up and are running around, and so that was the one storyline that I felt, and that one is probably the biggest spoiler of the movie. I sorry. That there's a lot more to it. I definitely recommend going to see that in spite of that spoiler. That's probably the one story arc that I felt, on the whole, probably could have been cut and reworked and done better. It that was the only one that felt like that was the only part of the movie that felt like they stuck it in because there was a similar plot in the first movie. That was the one. That was the only one. Um, for me, they with the aliens, the alien invasion and things, they did do a lot of that was very much a go bigger, bigger. It's like a disaster movie. And it's like, okay, the first one we were kind of big. How do we, you know, go better and see? Well, we make it bigger. um, I think that actually wound up working to the movie's credit. They actually explain. I will say this: they actually do a little more explanation on not really, I guess, kind of a lore and history backstory for the aliens that came in the first movie or back in this movie. Um, there's some backstory to it, to that, and I won't go into what all that is, but they go much more into their motivations and what they're doing and other things like that. So. I think it worked. I actually do think for the most part the movie worked. There were problems, like I said, that one particular storyline with those kids, and that was probably the biggest, most glaring thing in the movie. That was like, why? Um, Everything else, I thought there weren't. Everything else I thought worked very well. Um, this isn't a very comprehensive review, I guess. I did like it. It's probably going to be right up there. I think, actually, I honestly do think they did a lot of things better as far as storytelling, um, that the first one didn't do. I think, uh, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin and everyone else who helped write this movie, I think they put a little bit more thought into the story and the motivations and things. They It never felt a lot like it was a sequel that was rehashing the plot of the first one, um, which is, I think, probably the best thing you can say about it. One of the best things you can say about a sequel like this, particularly a sequel that's to a movie that was 20 years ago. Y- you might think it. I mean, it is. I was a little concerned. I mean, 20 years is a long time to wait, but I think it worked. I think that actually works to the movie's favor. The 20-year gap between the two movies. That I think works to the movie's favor because it kind of helps introduce this to a new generation, um, through a new generation of um, characters, and so yeah. On the whole, I think if you like the first one, you're gonna like the second. You're gonna like this one, and if you never really liked the first one, you're probably not interested in seeing this one anyway, so I don't know why you'd be watching this video. Um, but if you like the first one, go see it. It's worth it, I thought. But yeah, that's about it. So see you next time I do one. Next time for one of these.